All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe with John Cooper with another edition of the NAIAFBALL podcast powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Definitely the best in the business. So, man, I'm excited about what all is going to be going on tonight, John. I know we're going to have to eat a little bit of crow,
Absolutely.
I think.
That's okay.
But,
We're good at that.
About to say, we have acquired the taste, haven't we?
Yeah,
we have
over the years.
absolutely acquired the taste.
No, I would
for
say
crow.
we are definitely more right than wrong. So let's give ourselves
Yeah,
some credit.
that's true.
But we're big enough to, if we have a thing go on, we're going to tell it.
Yeah, we're not.
We're going to own it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're big boys. We can own it. I think the first one here we were right with Indiana Wesleyan here with a win over Olivet Nazarene. It was a very close matchup, though. I was surprised how long both teams were in it.
Yeah, Indiana Wesleyan really took to the ground, having 47 rush attempts total as a team, to a pretty much 2-to-1 ratio of rushing the ball to passing, and really exploited that Olivet Nazarene defense, just ground game wise.
Yeah, generally, when I do these, it's two offensive players and a kind of how did it happen kind of stat. Well, on this one, it was just I couldn't choose between Zadarian Williams and Daniel Weems. I just put them both down here. They both had great games, and just had to have them both this week. And one that I think, the SP Plus is now out for the NAI. That's, for those who don't know, Bill Connolly is the college football stats GOAT. Puts in a lot of work for all levels of football, including ours now, which is so cool from our perspective to see that. And he called the exact score on this game, 23-13. Georgetown beats Faulkner.
That's crazy.
The Georgetown defense just, they forced a ton of turnovers.
If you're Faulkner and you give up the ball 4 times, it's going to be hard to win. Honestly, it's impressive that, Faulkner only had 10 pass attempts. And even though they were very efficient through the air, 70%, you got to get more offense than that. And then if you turn the ball over 4 times, it's amazing that you're only in a 10-point deficit. And Georgetown jumped out really early on them.
They did, and to be fair, Faulkner did use 2 quarterbacks here, and that's how Ben Anderson has 145 yards passing, and Tyler Wilson has 102 yards receiving between the 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I believe one of them's an Oregon State transfer. I can't remember which one.
Holy cow!
So, for Faulkner.
There we go, Faulkner. Get them big boys. And then here's our crow.
Yeah, man. It looked great for Texas Wesleyan, jumping out to a 10-0 lead in the first quarter. And, Ottawa really weathered the storm and looked really great, especially offense. Once that first quarter, Ottawa's almost like a diesel engine, and usually they're not like that. But this past Saturday, it might have took a little bit for them to get going, but once they got going, they were going, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With Chris Ewens having 200 yards on the ground, that was absolutely huge, and definitely something he was one of our 3 finalists for the Offensive Player of the Week award with 3 touchdowns on the ground, along with 200 yards of offense on, I think it was, 30 some odd carries?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. The other one, trying to remember who it was 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just another whale of a ball game.
I mean, but this is also just a story of turnovers. The fact that, Ottawa, Arizona, they forced 3 turnovers, and the fact that this game was 5 points with losing the ball 3 times and then having a rough 3rd and 4th down conversion for, Texas Wesleyan. And the fact that, and I'll put it like this, not to take anything away from Ottawa, Arizona, because they're showing they are the best team, I think, in the Sooner right now. Don't get me wrong, Langston's right there too, who had a very impressive win, and should be receiving votes if not ranked. They're right on the tails right now of Ottawa, and but I think I just think Ottawa just had so much firepower to show out of that. But my thing is, Texas Wesleyan kind of weathered it.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Ottawa weathered the first quarter, and then Texas Wesleyan, they lost the last 3 quarters. But I think it's impressive by both teams. I don't think you can knock either team. I think it's a amazing win for Ottawa, Arizona, but I think Texas Wesleyan deserves the respect that they've been clamoring for.
And here's the thing: last year at this time, we had a far and away advantage here at this point of the season, with Langston being out front, and then they take a loss to Louisiana Christian. One, don't sleep on the Wildcats.
Right. I watched Louisiana take Stetson for a great first half there at FCS team. So,
but 2, you don't know what's going to happen in the Sooner.
Right.
If you're Tex West, you still have an absolute great shot.
And I'm really impressed with just the rushing attack of both teams.
Yeah, with Ernie Caesar with 150 yards.
Right.
I mean, both of them
Absolutely.
are grinding it out
Over
here.
7 yards of carry for that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just overshadowed by 200 yards. It's
Right.
absurd. Then we had a little bit of a little upset. Rocky takes down Montana
Right.
Tech.
And I think both teams deserve to be in the top 25. Man, that Frontier is just absolutely stacked.
It's eating itself alive, as usual.
It's crazy. How about the Rocky Mountain Battling Bears defense only allowing 1 score in the second half?
And, man, forcing 5 turnovers.
Well, credit to the Rocky Mountain coaching staff. That tells me they knew what to do come halftime when second half adjustments came up.
Absolutely. And credit Montana Tech. They still got 5.2 yards per play.
Right.
And that's how they were able to stay in the game. That offense was still moving, even though a lot of the drives were coming up in turnovers.
They just couldn't find the scores.
Right, exactly. And then
Sunday Night Football.
Man,
last night.
I love it. You tweeted, them boys said I would never play on Sunday. Look at me now.
Yeah. I said hang down the NAIA Hall of Fame.
That's beautiful. I love that.
We had a patron who's really close to us and was communicating all throughout. I'm not going to say his name just in case he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Just the privacy aspect. But just talking about, how I was like, man, Sunday Night Football is pretty cool with the KCAC, with the atmosphere and stuff they had in Salina. But KCAC, very religious school, so they don't do, Sunday night events really. But just watching the clips of that seemed really impressive. How about Bethel? A great 2 weeks for them to topple their former head coach and then, topple what was my favorite in the KCAC. I thought Bethel was going to take a step back, and you talked about eating crow earlier. I think I'm eating crow of the Threshers right here.
They're definitely.
And how about that last drive?
Holy cow.
Where they just took control and, went in and scored.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bethel, we both thought changing. I don't think we knew that they were changing offensive systems as much as they are, going from the flex bone to a little bit of a spread option look.
Credit to Coach Stokes, though, man. He is, I would say he's doing the most impressive job in all of the NAIA right now to, take over in his first season, a program he's familiar with, but to take it over and not lose a stride, but gain strides at this point. Credit that guy.
Yeah, and to do what he's doing with as much turnover as they had on that coaching staff, on that roster, is absolutely insane. Well, John, I have to tell you, I couldn't come up with any bigger numbers.
No.
I couldn't come up with any bigger numbers.
We can go back to reality. It's okay.
But what I can tell you is that our-a-thon is not just for teams in terms of going with it. This is something that from the conference level you can partner with leading edge fundraising using the our-a-thon and really work with those guys and get a good relationship going and raise a ton of money for your program.
At least raise some money if you're a conference. Get some great conference championship trophies.
Absolutely.
No cheap stuff. Good stuff.
No cheapies here. So this summer, the GSAC, which I know doesn't play football, but that's the Golden State's athletic conference.
Absolutely.
They play.
I wish they would.
if they would. My day would be made. I'd love to see the GSAC come in to play football, but they partnered with Hour-a-thon and Leading Edge here to come in and do their fundraising. So check out what the GSAC knows, what Presentation knows, what Erskine College in South Carolina knows.
Yeah.
And that's the power of an hour. Ooh, that's a good
I like that.
They should definitely
send
use that.
to 'em.
I definitely should. But these guys sponsor our media poll, and by George, we have some. It was a good week to lose.
Yeah.
Because so did everybody else.
Absolutely. Sometimes you feel like you're running out of teams.
You totally
voting.
do.
I hope we see Langston in there next week with them keep on winning.
Yeah.
But shout out to you guys if you're watching. Just realize we're watching you. We know what you're capable of. That OUAZ Texas Wesleyan matchups for you guys is going to be huge. Yeah,
and they play Arkansas Baptist this week, so that should be a fairly easy win for them. So let's see who is comprising the bottom 5. At number 25 is Montana Tech. After their loss, they are down 4. They get a chance to rebound this week.
Right, absolutely. That Frontier with Carroll at 24, it's absolutely impressive.
Like the bottom half of the top 25 is like halfway comprised of Frontier teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be reminded, guys, that you're probably frustrated seeing Montana Tech and Carroll. I wish they were switched, but it just sometimes you get the recency bias and who's lost
3 points
recently.
3 points separated the two teams, so it's by a sliver.
Montana Tech, we saw that you beat Carroll. We understand sometimes votes go weird ways when you put other teams around.
I think the real winner in the Frontier this week was College of Idaho, who did not have a great week.
Right, but
honestly,
still.
but came out the victor.
Right. So we just letting you know we see that, guys. It'll all work itself out in the end.
Absolutely. At number 22, we have a newcomer is Midland at 4-0, doing some work
under the radar over there in the GPAC.
And then tied with them, Concordia of Michigan tumbles down 12 spots in the polls after losing to unranked Roosevelt.
Yeah, how about Roosevelt, man? They got the win over a under-the-radar Mayville State.
Yep.
A solid Concordia team that took Stetson to the wire. I'm surprised not to see them in here.
Could Roosevelt end up being the favorite in the West at this point?
At this point, I would say why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
With St. Xavier struggling.
We'll see what St. Xavier does because they play our number 21 team this week, St. Francis of Indiana. This is a put-up or shut-up.
I think it's going to be a rout for St. Francis, speaking of them.
Yeah, this is put-up or shut-up for St. Xavier. If you can't beat St. Francis here.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they do go to Bishop Darcy Stadium.
Right.
So that's going to be a toughie. But for St. X, you got to know that your season is, even though you really haven't started conference play, it's kind of teetering on the precipice.
That's right.
At number 20, we have, more Frontier.
Yeah, so the Frontier, I think, is just dominating the back end of the top 25. It's what team's going to come out of there standing strong.
Right, and Rocky with a good win this week takes that number 20 spot. They are up, or they are new into the poll this week. Number 19, Dort is just the recipient of chaos.
Absolutely. Looking forward to Dort and Midland playing.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one. They play Doane this week.
Yeah,
so
it'll be a nice win.
Doane's a fair team this year. Montana Western gets the win. They get the win and they're down 2. I think they got a little bit of short end of the stick this week with all the Frontier chaos happening.
Absolutely. 17, Kansas Wesleyan. They shift down the poll. Corey, I think that's what, a 9-spot drop?
That is a 9-spot drop for Kansas Wesleyan.
Yep. 16 is St. Thomas, and their only loss of the season is the FCS Butler. The Sun Conference is going to be really interesting. 3-team race going on over there.
Up 7 spots in this week.
I'm sure they're glad that Kaiser scheduled those 3 games.
Ooh, doggy. Speaking of Kaiser, they are down another 6 spots. They go from basically 5 to 15 in the span of 2 weeks.
Honestly, I didn't even rank them on my end. I do think they're a great team. I do think they'll be solid. NAIA-wise, guys, they're 1-0 in the NAIA. They're 0-3 against NCAA, against premier NCAA schools. They go on and played Lindenwood this past Saturday. Didn't have much luck, much going for them. But Lindenwood is a FCS team with 63 scholarships against a Kaiser team with 24.
Yeah, and so that's tough sledding for Kaiser, and I feel like Kaiser might be in line to pull what I'm going to call the Dickinson State maneuver.
Absolutely.
Which is to get your butt whipped outside of conference.
And then,
wrap the sun up. We'll see. Because they got to play St. Thomas at some point.
Well, not only that, you got Southeastern, who's not getting much talked about. You know what I'm saying?
But they are receiving votes this week.
Yeah, there you go.
They are receiving votes. 7 votes. 28 is the bottom. So, look, if St. Thomas trips up against Southeastern this week, we definitely see Southeastern in the poll. At number 14 is Bethel of Kansas. They come up 10 spots. That's about where I figure they'd be.
Honestly, I thought they might be a little higher. What a great win for them. You know who really reaps the benefits is Southwestern now that you get both of them on tape, who is at number 12. But before we get to them, 13 is College of Idaho. I know we talked about Carroll and Montana Tech. I know they wish they would have flipped there just off principle that one beat the other. But it doesn't matter because College of Idaho's 3-0 within your conference. That's what you should be worried about, is trying to beat the Yotes out of College of Idaho.
Absolutely. They're up 5 spots. They go to play, or they host Eastern Oregon this week.
Right.
Yet, if you're College of Idaho,
who's still a good team.
Yeah. If you're College of Idaho, you have to just keep winning at this point. It's like Dory for football. Just keep winning.
They got to defend that Del Taco Stadium. Del Taco sponsors them.
Yeah, baby. Southwestern. Again, hold steady. I feel like they're getting the short end of the stick on this one. But
I do too. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I think because of name recognition, they've only had that one NAIA playoff appearance. I think they're going to get there. I think name recognition hurts them. I know that's not the right thing, but they're looking good. If they take care of it on the field, like I said, this will all work itself out.
And they do play Avila this week, so that's going to be
a big test.
That's going to be huge.
Number 11, the Reinhardt Eagles. I think they played Point, won 24-14.
They got off to a really slow start.
I think it's starting to say a lot about Point. I think Point's starting. If you look up their schedule, I'd like to say I think Point might be 1-2. They might be 0-3. But I think they've played other teams pretty close if you look up the schedule.
Yeah, let's take a look on the
I know
fly.
they played against Faulkner.
So they lost to Faulkner 14-10. They played at Cumberland, lost 34-7, 28-3 loss.
I know
at
Bethel, Tennessee, so they're 0-4. But, they've kind of stayed strong. That Bethel game, if you look at that box score, I believe it was a really close game for a while there.
Yeah, it was a 3-0 game Point at halftime.
I think if Point can find some offense, I know they're not in our top 25. They're 0-4. Nobody really should be talking about them. But the fact is, I think their defense is there. If their offense starts coming around, that might be a program to watch there in the western part of Georgia.
Yeah, Cumberland put 28 points up on them in the second quarter of that game, and that's what put that away.
Right.
But, yeah, no, your point is well taken.
Yeah.
They do. Oh, they have a toughie.
Yeah, Birmingham Southern is their next week, who's a top 25 team, I believe, in the Division III. Or they finished in the top 25 last year. I know that.
I love how you know what's going on in Division III while I'm just sitting here scrambling
Well, it's all about
through.
Birmingham Southern's in our region, if that makes sense. In our geographical region. We're in the southeast, guys, so I pay attention to the D3 teams around here.
Champion Sports Network makes a couple of points. He said the Frontier deserves all the teams that made it in the top 25.
Absolutely.
And that Southwestern only got number 24 in the coaches poll. So,
wow.
To be fair, us only putting them 12 and not moving them around any is the better end of the stick, apparently, for what they were getting. And then the top 10, the Benedictine Ravens making an appearance back in the top 10 for the first time since what? Their national championship run?
2018?
Something like that. I can't remember.
I think the Ravens, if they keep winning, the more impressive that Grandview loss looks. I know a loss is a loss, but there's always perspective and context to it. And Benedictine is a really good freaking football team right now.
And look, with that Baker loss, and Baker, you want to talk about a drop.
Yeah.
Baker dropped all the way out from like a 8.
Right.
A top 10 to out.
Right.
And it wasn't close either. I mean, it was that they're 14 points off the 25 spot.
Right.
That's a huge loss that we didn't talk about.
Right.
Might as well do it here. And then we'll circle back around to Benedictine.
Right.
Baker just absolutely
gets to Peru State, correct?
Loses to Peru State, who's also receiving votes. And it was 19-7 late.
Baker's offense is kind of like a snail pace.
It is, and it's so hard to
which is crazy because their defense is a top 25 version.
Right, but it's just so hard to replace the all-time talent that they that they lost. But so this opens the door for Benedictine. Right. Really does, to really outright take their side of the division if they can actually win it. And they are definitely in line to do it.
Are guys Siena Heights not making it in the top 25?
No,
That's insane. They took a loss this past week.
They did, and they got they have four votes in the receiving votes. They took that L. I'm fairly certain I'd have to
guys.
go.
If you didn't know, it's my first time seeing it. Corey preps the show, so I'm raw reacting.
Yeah, me and the intern get to see it.
Number 9, Ottawa, Arizona has the huge win against Texas Wesleyan. Slow start for them in the first quarter, but it didn't matter because they controlled quarters 2, 3, and 4 to win that game. They put themselves in the driver's seat, in my opinion, in the Sooners now. And it's going to depend if they can beat Langston, who is a top 25 team, who did have Player of the Week. I think they finished undefeated this year.
Yeah, and you see Ottawa of Arizona drop a lot because you see more of our pollsters actually believing what they're doing here. Number 8, Bethel of Tennessee just keeps
they're just winning
high.
They're winning.
Absolutely.
I believe they have a huge game this week.
And in the Appalachian, that is all that matters at this point.
Well, they're in the Mid-South.
You're right.
Reinhardt.
You're right. Who they beat? Indiana Wesleyan comes in at number 7. The Wildcats are the number 2 team from the Mideast side.
Yeah, I know you see 1-1 guys, but they are 1-0 in NAIA play.
Yeah, that loss is to Valpo, and it was very close. And number 6, Chris Oliver's Georgetown Tigers come rolling up in
their
there.
Defense is absolutely smothering, forcing turnovers. It's hard to run the ball on these guys. I think that Georgetown Lindsey Wilson game is going to be the bigger version of Friends in Bethel, Kansas.
That's going to be an absolute war from start to finish. And then our top, as much as 6 through 25 has been absolute chaos. The more things change, the more they stay the absolute same.
Let's just read them off right here. 5, Lindsey Wilson. 4, Marion. 3, Northwestern. 2, Grandview. 1, Morningside. No one should have an argument with number 1, Morningside. Personally, I don't think anybody should have an argument with number 2. 3, 4, and 5 are all interchangeable to me. But, you can make an argument either way or the other, but just handle your business. It'll take care of itself. 1 through 5 is solid as concrete until one of them lose. I know Northwestern took the loss to Morningside, but, that's besides Grandview and Benedictine, that loss, if you look at it in context, the Morningside Northwestern loss, if you look at it in context, Northwestern's a top 3 team.
And honestly, we know Northwestern's a good squad.
Yeah, I would say they're elite.
It's we see this loss every year to Morningside. Yeah. We see it every year, and they still go and they whip everyone else's fanny from hither to yon. It's just this is the way of things. And so they're still number 3. They're going to be number 3 until either someone beats them or they go into the playoffs. So we'll be right back after this message from our friends at Mommy Bay Turf.
Mommy Bay Turf Center, a leader in synthetic sports surfaces as well as natural field construction, maintenance, and renovation. Mommy Bay Turf is part of Turf Nation, the most trusted source in the synthetic turf industry, including creating the surface for the biggest game in pro football. From professional, college, and high school sports to recreation and commercial projects, check them out at mommybayturfcenter.com and see our large collection of finished projects and services. Mommy Bay Turf Center. We build better.
All right, and as we come back, we'll get one more view of their beautiful, beautiful artwork here. John, I'm a sucker for a nice midfield logo, and if you want yours to pop like that, then turf is absolutely the way to go.
What's awesome is, it can pop all the time. It's pretty easy, interchangeable, because that's basically a cutout. If you know how turf fields work, you can always, if you have the money, that is. Most teams like to leave it how it is, but if you want a logo branding change, it's super easy to get it done. I know it's not as easy as paint, but it looks better than paint on grass.
I'm fairly certain, just looking at a lot of their pictures, that is all within that kind of 45 to 45 panel.
Yeah, so, it's a 10-yard logo.
Right, it's a 10-yard logo. So all you have to do if you make a branding change is you get a new midfield logo and you get one new panel.
Right, absolutely.
And so you're not out much on that branding change. You can update your look and have it pop, man. Everyone wants to have a midfield logo that pops.
I know our high school, we have turf right here at Wakulla High. I don't know if it's by Mommy Bay or not, but I will say under the lights, turf looks spectacular.
Yeah, it does. And give your maintenance guys a break on that as well. But thanks to Mommy Bay Turf and Turf Nation for sponsoring our Players of the Week. And John, I think this is the first time that both of our Players of the Week are HBCU players.
Pretty awesome. We should notarize that on the Twitter.
Absolutely. Larry Harrington from Langston just went to work.
Dude, ate it up through the air. 420 yards, 6 touchdowns. The ball only hit the ground 11 times for him. So talk about some great accuracy. Langston traditionally has firepower offense, but this is something really cool. I know we were used to a couple years ago, Jared Lowe, I believe his name was. But Larry Harrington, what a spectacular fireworks.
And I just looked it up. When you look at yards per attempt,
yeah.
6 is pretty 10 is really good.
Yeah.
That's 12 yards per attempt on the nose.
It's pretty impressive.
That is some explosive plays right there. And so he is very, very deserving of our Player of the Week. The next one is Christian Mabel from Florida Memorial.
How about Florida Memorial? They opened up with a great first week season win against Edward Waters. That's where that picture is featured right there. And then he has the game of his life against Warner, where Florida Memorial just blows them out. He's all over the field, living in the backfield, literally living back there.
You know what I'm saying? Man.
4.5 sacks, a forced fumble, 6.5 tackles for loss, 11 tackles total. What a game, Christian. Looking forward to watching you some more.
Absolutely. That is just I saw that and I went, oh, there it is.
Right.
A lot of times I'll get the poll going between me, John, and intern Matt about who should be it. If
I would imagine this was unanimous.
Well, it was a solo decision by me on that one. When I saw that, I went, ooh.
Yeah, pretty. Well, that's unanimous to me.
Yeah,
I would have said the same thing.
Woohoo! So, man, and if we liked that, all that chaos,
yeah,
we have some more possibilities. Some of these teams here I want to chat about because there's some of these that we have not been able to chat about a lot this year. U-Pike is one of those teams quietly undefeated.
What a beautiful logo by both teams. If you didn't know, Pikeville and Bethel, Tennessee, they both have had some rebranding the past couple years. Yeah. Beautiful logos by those two. It's not traditional. This new faces right there, new logo. That U-Pike logo is gorgeous.
I do love that there.
Yeah, I do too. But I think Bethel's going to, struggle here for probably the first 3 quarters, pull away in the fourth quarter. I think they're going to be the more physical team.
Yeah, you got your boy Corey Phipps on the other sideline there for
he's
Bike.
probably not going to like that I said that. But I think you probably a year away to being a really impressive team. Their receiving votes. I love eating crow, and I would love to eat it for my guy, Coach Phipps, who is an amazing person. Besides the coach, I've been to this man's house. Not the current house he's in, but the one where he's in Montgomery.
Right.
He's taking care of me. You know what I'm saying? Fed me, whatever. So it's always hard to pick against them. But I'm going with the Jasper boys at Bethel.
Bethel's just got a really good squad this year.
I think they're very watching them. They're super physical.
And we've seen that come in the last couple of years, but there just wasn't.
It's like they just started putting it together now.
Right? Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's been a little inconsistent over the last couple of years. This year, the talent level is matching the intensity. Southwestern hosts Avila, who is receiving votes. This is one of the KCAC quadrangle.
Yeah, I would say if Southwestern's not happy about being 24th in the coaches poll, they need to make a statement right here against a solid Avila team.
Yeah, go whip the Eagles and we'll definitely chat.
Yeah, number 16, you got the St. Thomas Bobcats going against the Southeastern Fire. The Fire are in the new era. They've looked impressive in NAIA play, and whoever wins this game is going to have the leg up in the sun. And they're, the winner of this really is Kaiser because they get to see both teams on film against each other.
100%. Now, Southeastern, and forgive me because I don't know the name of their quarterback off the top of my head.
Right.
But my gosh, I don't know where they came up with this man, because Cooper Jones was the quarterback for forever.
Right.
But my man over here is just putting up numbers.
I know they've been really explosive on offense, especially that Savannah State game. I think they had like 40 points, and they've already beaten Florida Memorial, if I'm right, Corey.
Yeah. Kalen Wiggins is his name.
Which Florida Memorial is a well-improved team, so I find that to be impressive.
Florida Memorial setting a program record since the restart with the number of wins, and by George, it's September.
Wow.
Flomo might be a problem for some teams this year and next.
Absolutely. Number 18, Montana Western versus Montana Tech. If you want to stay in the race of the frontier, this is a must-win game.
Is it? Yeah, I was about to say, is this an elimination game?
I don't think it's elimination. I think you can win the frontier with 2 losses with that much chaos happening. But if you want to be safe and sound, you got to win.
Yeah, so this is basically win, and you can't screw up from here.
No, absolutely not. Number 21, St. Francis Cougars versus the St. Xavier Cougars.
The Battle of the Cats.
Yeah, St. Xavier has really been struggling this year. Their defense has gotten smothered at point, between University of Indianapolis, who's D2, and then St. Thomas, who we just talked about. But St. Francis has looked impressive already one game in.
Yeah,
I'm going with St. Francis here.
I am too, and they whipped up on Judson 51-19.
2 games in, sorry.
So you're talking about you're 2 games in, and you scored 100 some odd points.
Yeah.
This is a team on the revenge tour.
Right. They're trying to rectify and get back to where they were.
Yeah, they're trying to rectify, and they're trying to wreck every other team that they come up with.
So, amazing week, great 5 games. The fact that we have, this many quality matchups, and we're only in week 4.
And the fact that there have been no shortage of quality matchups. This far, it's been this chaotic.
All right.
There is more parity this year.
Outside of the top 5, yes.
Outside of the top 5.
Right.
There has been more parity 6 through 95 than I've ever seen in our years covering NAIA football.
I think you're going to see a team that we didn't think would make the quarterfinals this year in the playoffs that makes the quarterfinals this year.
Think we'll see an outsider?
I think we'll see an outsider.
That'll be fun. Another game that I just barely missed the what to watch for, but is a huge, huge conference game.
Is that Mayville State and Dickinson State?
By George, you read my mind.
So, anyways, Mayville State, I believe, is quietly 3-1 and has 2 wins against decent little NCAA programs. And while Dickinson State's kind of they're still the cream of the crop in my opinion in the North Star, and people get so upset that the North Star get an automatic bid. But I love the Mayville State script, and I love the guys at Dickinson State too. So, my head, can handle this game. My heart, I don't know, man. So it's going to be a solid game, I think. I think I got to go with Dickinson State. I just can't pick any new blood until it's shown. Yeah, I'm a results guy.
This is a show-me game.
Right.
Absolutely a show-me game. Mayville lost to Roosevelt, 55-14.
Who is really good, by the way. I think Roosevelt's going to be in the top 15 by the time it's all said and done.
2 weeks off. They had a double bye to prep for Concordia. Great schedule making, by the way.
Yeah, and then Lawrence Tech's next. I think they're going to be undefeated for a while.
Yeah, because then you have St. Xavier the next week. You really get into the meat of that MSFA schedule.
I don't think Roosevelt gets challenged
until November when they play St. Francis and Olivet Nazarene. Yeah, so this is a show-me game for Mayville State. To bring it back to Mayville State.
Yeah, are the comments for real? We'll find out this Saturday.
This is the prove it or shut up game.
If Mayville wins, I will wear my Mayville State hat for this show for the rest of the year. If Mayville State wins,
I definitely will be rocking the Comet shirt.
Absolutely, I will come fully decked out in Mayville stuff next week if they win, and then I'll wear the hat the rest of the year.
That sounds.
I'll be a Mayville fanboy if they beat Dickinson State.
Jumping up on that bandwagon, I love it. And look,
but I don't think they will.
The Comets when we started this were like serious, like. You could pencil them in like you can pencil in the Detroit Lions to be hot garbage.
Right.
This is not your daddy's Mayville State.
No, not at all. It's a brand new era over there. They're getting things going.
And so, John, we have a new patron.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and take the reading part for it.
Go right on ahead.
Thank you, DSU Cone, Danielle Quinn, Darren, Bob Boone, Roger Meyer, Jeremy Valbel, Shirley Labella, Fred Christensen, Alex Garcia, Jerry Quickle, Jody Odglin, Austin Steele, Cordell, Ace Wellen, Marty Seabolt, Justin Cobb, Dane, Nick Ryan, Hayden Fioringo, Jeff, Kyle Gregory, Tyler Pierce, Justin Hoffman, Steve Speakman, Coach D67, Brian Shake, Lance Damon, Monte Mustang, Frank Dolencheck, Julian Shager, JGLB43, and Nate Soetbier.
Absolutely. Love doing that. It's my favorite part of the show. Let's take a look at some of the comments here before we go, and we'll shoot from the hip a little bit. Let's see. Papa Dolencheck says, props to Briarcliff. They came out swinging. Program's heading in the right direction.
Right. And, somebody put Briarcliff get some votes last week.
They did.
And I can kind of see why. You know what I'm saying? I see a little perspective. Papa Dolencheck, you got a little point there. The Chargers definitely are heading in the right direction. I think the parity outside of 1 and 2 in the GPAC is growing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. People are starting, those administrations over there are starting to see those results and really go into it. Noel JC says Reinhardt's still very physical. They are. They just need to get that offense on track.
Right. I think they just need to put more points up.
Yeah, they really miss having their quarterback.
Yeah.
And they have a new offensive coordinator. So
and sometimes Reinhardt can run a little no huddle too. So
yeah. So we'll see what they've got, how they grow. I don't think I'd want any part of Reinhardt in November. They'll have grown. People better watch out for Bethel. James from Champion Sports Network. You ain't kidding there.
That's why I picked them to win their conference.
Donnie Dodge says Peru State wins the next 4, goes to 6-2, hosting Grandview on October 29th for the Heart.
If they win that 4, that will be the national game of the week for us, and I would hope so for the NAIA, the official NAIA itself.
I don't think they do a game of the week anymore.
Well, that's sad
because too many people were griping about. Yeah, that they're look, if you can't, we love all the people on our Twitter timeline, but man, if you can't stand the heat,
absolutely. looking down their schedule, I see
let's take a look at the
Mid-America
schedule.
Nazarene.
Let's take a look at the schedule here.
Or
So
was
you've
that already
got Mid-America, Evangel, Clark, and William Penn.
I mean, if you get past Mid-America, I think you got some grease frying up right there.
Yeah, that's definitely a winnable 4 because you've already
beat
the problem is that you've lost to Benedictine.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be
But we're talking about the North.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at Heart of America.
Does the Heart, I can't remember off the top of my head, does the Heart do by division win-loss?
I think they do by division.
That's right.
So I think they'll be fine.
So right now they're undefeated in North play, correct?
So
Yes.
they haven't played a game.
That's right. They haven't played a North game. So I think I think you can make the argument for Culver Stockton too.
Culver's got to score some points.
I agree, but
Culver's got to score some points. I'm just flipping back and forth to see. Clark is going to be their first in-division game.
Which Clark has improved. Which I think Peru's going to beat them, though.
Yeah.
I think the commenter has a great point. Those are 4 winnable games. And I think Peru State should be disappointed if they don't go 4-0 in this stretch before Grandview.
Absolutely.
And they host Grandview.
Woo, at the Oak Bowl. That's going to be – no, you're absolutely right. Let's see. John Overton says Ottawa, Arizona is looking to crack in that top 5. Is Ottawa of Arizona a top 5 squad?
They're not top 5 until one of those 5 lose. I just don't think Ottawa, Arizona is better than them. Like I said, I'm a results guy. Those 5 have been there before. I know no year is the same in NAIA, but it kind of is because those 5 have always been Mr. Consistency.
I really do like them in that 6 through 10 window.
I do too. Now I think they could get to that number 6 spot because Lindsey Wilson and Georgetown will cancel each other out. Indiana Wesleyan and Marion will cancel each other out. So there's no doubt. But right now I don't find them better than the top 5.
And
the only ones in the top 5 that are going to be rock solid, I think, throughout the year is one, Grandview got through, I think, their toughest opponent with Benedictine. And then Morningside and Northwestern have already played each other, and I don't see those 3 taking a loss.
Okay, so let's look ahead at Bethel because that's another one that you've got this.
They have
three-way.
They have a tough road to hold. They still got to go through Georgetown, Lindsey Wilson, and Bethel still has to play Faulkner, who's not, you know what I'm saying? And there's no telling. The Mid-South is tough. Whereas, it's similar to me as the Frontier.
So
you're not going to get so many ranked teams in, but the middle of the road teams are still a bomb waiting to explode.
So looking at it, you host Pike.
Right.
The next Saturday you travel to Georgetown.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big boy game.
Right.
You play Cumberland, who's a really good squad this year.
Campbellsville's
you
not
host
very
them.
good.
You go to Campbellsville. That should be a win.
Thomas Moore's average.
Yeah, they're inconsistent.
Lindsey Wilson's the
then
best.
You get Lindsey Wilson on October 29th.
Yes, who's considered the best.
And then you've got Faulkner and Cumberland. Right. So if you make it through October for Bethel, and so only 2 schools, I think, out of the Mid-South are going to make.
It's it's one of those 3. It's either Lindsey Wilson, Georgetown, and Bethel. And right now, I picked, this is the craziest pick in the NAIA going on right now, is me picking Bethel. But I think Bethel and Lindsey Wilson are going to be the 2 out of the 3 to make it.
And you very well could be right.
And it could be all 3. It could happen. If Georgetown's losses are to what I think could be an undefeated Bethel, and a 1-loss Lindsey Wilson, if they're sitting there 8-2,
they're going to be clenching their cheeks.
If they're close losses, I think they should get the treatment that mid-state teams have traditionally gotten.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. We'll have to see because that's going to be super fun.
But that's just projection. All that could be wrong on my end.
Noel JC also says Lee Kirkland from UPike's a beast. James chimes in, Pikeville's the most underrated team in the NAIA.
Well, they got a chance to show it this week.
They got it. Lexi Rome says, don't be surprised when Bethel, Kansas sneaks up on anyone. I don't think Bethel's sneaking up on anyone now.
I think Bethel's the monster everybody sees in the KCAC.
I think so, too. Poisonous Potato says, if Ottawa of Arizona wins out, they'll be around 4 or 5. Their offense is taking a hit, but the defense has picked up immensely.
I agree. If they win out, they're 4 and 5. I agree, because there's teams that will cancel each other out.
Yeah,
so I just don't think right now.
Yeah, you've almost got to hope for a Grandview loss.
Yeah, which it doesn't. If Ottawa, Arizona wins out, it doesn't really matter where they're ranked. They'll host majority of the playoffs.
Right,
almost.
exactly.
At least the first 2 rounds.
And that's, as a Sooner team, that is really what you want.
That's what you want. You want to host.
You want to host and take in probably they'd probably get a Frontier team.
Right. I mean, think about Arizona Christian that won a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they had to travel all the way to West Palm Beach. You do not want to be that team that's getting on the plane.
That. You want to be College of Idaho,
right?
Who hosted? Was it Ottawa?
It was Ottawa, Arizona.
Yeah, it was Ottawa. Yeah. And you want to be that
because College of Idaho had a little miniature run there.
Yeah, exactly. That's who you want to be. And Ottawa's on a great way to do that. If you go, oh man. Now, this is good. He said, I hope one day we get an Ottawa, Kansas versus Ottawa of Arizona game.
That would be nice.
That should be...
First game of the regular season would be nice.
That should be a rivalry game right there.
Right. I agree.
That should be always played. All right. So, looking in the chat, see if there's anything else. Not much there. Man, this has been an absolutely fun show. I love the banter. I love getting the comments. It lets us do a little bit more...
interacting.
Yeah, and talking about more teams that we don't typically get to talk about and get to talk in more in depth. So definitely for those who are here, the comments are where it's at. Bethel, Kansas, Bethel, Tennessee would be a good one too.
Absolutely, I agree.
Oh, that'd be a hard,
maybe
hard
see in the
game.
Playoffs.
Ooh, we could do that. But for John Cooper, I'm Corey Thorpe, and we will see y'all next week.